Let's go live.
Every supernatural sighting. He'd seen every trick, knew every technique.
I did that shit again, man. Why does it do that every time?
A reputation as a tough professional skeptic. But now his pencil was floating above his desk. The being across from him called herself Lacerda. She told him how humanity was created and how it would end. And she could prove it. The world's most notorious UFO skeptic was about to understand why some stories can't be debunked.
Human, quick! It's an emergency! Code Goldenrod. I repeat, code Goldenrod.
Code Goldenrod? Hang on, I have to look that one up.
Oh, for crying out loud. It was in Tuesday's security briefing. You really need to work in your trade craft. Goldenrod means financial emergency.
Well, what happened now?
Well, remember that little growing operation I had in your garage? My blow-up-ist garden?
That alien plant that you used to relax?
It's medicinal blow-up-ist.
My man's had a grow.
I spent all my money on a hydroponic system. Then the Men in Black showed up.
The actual Men in Black?
Said the Men in Black
showed
showed
up.
up.
Black suits. They might have been the HOA board, but they confiscated everything.
That's the audio.
And now they're sending me a dry-cleaning
Everybody
bill.
audio
Dry
check.
cleaning bill? Why?
Well, Gertie had an
put this,
allergic reaction to the blow-up-ist and sneezed all over them. Do you know how much it costs
that
to
off.
remove camel mucus from Italian suits? No, it's not your fault, baby. It's not you. Who knew you were allergic to
Yeah,
alien
my
flora?
phone's been
You're
tripping.
drowning in debt, and Gertie's almost out of hump lotion.
Please stop giving me details and just call PDS Debt.
Oh,
Let's
did
see
you
what we
just
got here.
lick and
Everything
roll your
live,
way
everything
into
working?
this sponsor?
Well, yes, I did. Many of us will get deeper into debt during the holidays. Last year, half of American consumers took on debt just to pay for the holidays. It's never too early to start planning to get out, and PDS Debt can help you with a personalized solution just for you. PDS Debt offers customized options for anyone struggling with a lot of monthly debt payments, credit cards, personal loans, collections, even medical bills. They provide a service to match assessment.
Let's skip this a little bit.
Someone spilled the beans that I was
It's gonna get
growing
interesting
blow-up-ist.
right now in a
Yeah,
second.
there's no security
Just hold
leak.
on.
The whole neighborhood could smell your garden.
Oh, well, what can I tell you? Blow-up-ist, it's good shit.
My man said, "What can I tell you? Some good stuff." What up, man? Who's in here today? Y'all hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We in here chilling. We about to
OK
watch
arrived
something
early
real
to set
quick.
up his equipment. One camera, one tape recorder. That's all Lacerda allowed. Every hoaxer had rules. He didn't argue. He figured he'd be out in an hour. The story was obviously fake. Lacerda claimed to be from a race of beings living deep within the earth.
What's up, Martha?
Some say they're shapeshifters.
Salute to Martha.
They actually shape and change the way the human
Let's go.
sees them. They're highly evolved and intelligent with extremely advanced technology. They are reptilians.
Lizard people!
The Lacerda files appeared online in the early 2000s. They're transcripts of two interviews, one from 1999 and one from 2000. A journalist known as OK, reptilian and intelligent with extremely advanced
I
technology.
went back for you. That way you can see.
Reptilians.
He said lizard people.
The Lacerda files appeared online in the early 2000s. They're transcripts of two interviews, one from 1999 and one from 2000. A journalist known as OK spoke with a female reptilian who calls herself Lacerda when she's with humans.
Ooh.
Apparently, we can't pronounce her real name, and mispronouncing someone's name in her culture is offensive.
This sounds like a millennial lizard people. How old is she? Is she on TikTok?
She's 28 years old.
Checks out.
She was around 5'5" and humanoid. Her skin was pale green with brown dots, and her eyes were larger than human eyes with vertical slits for pupils. And when she blinked, a transparent membrane slid sideways across her eyes. Her species is called the Tern. They lived beneath the earth for millions of years in vast cities carved from solid rock. I linked to the full text, and you'll want to read it, but here's what matters. Lacerda knew things about ancient cultures, quantum mechanics, computer science. She said humans didn't
Y'all
evolve.
watching this? This
We
is
were engineered
crazy
by
right here.
aliens
This
who
is
made
this some
slaves.
real life stuff right
They
here.
have many names.
The beings you call the Elohim We knew them as the Illogim. They needed workers. They found primitive apes and began their experiments. But you aren't the first attempt. You're the 7th.
The 7th. Did y'all hear that? They said that we are not the first attempt. We are the 7th attempt. That's crazy. Hello, what's up? What's up? What's going on with y'all?
Humans of version 7.
Well, each version was an experiment. Create, test, destroy, then start again. The Illogim left Earth before finishing version 7. Now they're coming back to fix their mistake.
Ooh, let's hear what they
Version
said.
was an experiment. Create, test, destroy,
Ooh.
then start again.
Ooh.
The Illogim left Earth before finishing version 7. Now they're coming back to fix their mistake.
Ooh.
The Illogim was an experiment.
Wait, what? Humans of version 7?
Well, each version was an experiment. Create, test, destroy, then start again. The Illogim left Earth before finishing version 7. Now they're coming back to fix their mistake.
Ooh.
Lacerda's story began not with her species, but with ours. She said human evolution is a lie. We were created by aliens called the Illogim. They come from the star
We were created by the Illogim. Somebody called the Illogim.
system we call Aldebaran.
Oh, I thought the Death Star blew up Alderaan.
Aldebaran.
What'd I say?
The Illogim arrived on Earth 1.5 million years ago to mine copper. This would require a large labor force. So they altered a primitive ape's genetics and created a new species to do the work. Version 1 was promising, but flawed, so they wiped it out and started again. And again. Lacerda says the evidence of these earlier versions is all around us. Archaeologists say the Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2500 BC.
Fake news. It's way older than that.
I love
Lacerda
that
agrees.
fish, yo.
The Egyptians
That
didn't build
fish
the
is so
pyramids,
cool.
They found them. The Great Pyramid was built 75,000 years ago by the 5th version of humanity. The underwater ruins near
The
Bimini
5th version.
were built 16,000 years ago by the 6th version. Perfect angles cut into massive stone blocks using
Damn.
techniques we only mastered in the last century. The Illogim
Damn.
accelerated our evolution. Look at our timeline. 2 million years to improve a spear. Then in a few thousand years,
He said 2 million years just to improve a spear, yo. What the hell?
lighting, electricity, landing a man on the moon.
Well, that never happened. But you monkeys got to orbit. I'll give you that.
Fine. My point is, we went from
Oh, I
hunter-gatherers
love the
to a
fish.
spacefaring species in a fraction of the time it took to go from Homo habilis to Homo erectus.
Right.
Stop it.
Pretty much saying, I mean, you think about it right now, since the 2000s, I remember I was a kid, right? Y2K and all that. We barely had laptops back then. That's when the laptops was barely coming out. You know, to the flip phones, I seen all that. To the beepers, I seen all that. Computers. I mean, the TVs. You know what trips me out even more when the teacher used to say, "You're not gonna walk around with a calculator in your pocket." That's the times I lived. You know.
Our DNA contains
And I'm not
genes
even
that
that
don't match
old,
our
you know?
ancestors. Dr. James Gates found error-correcting code embedded in human DNA. Proof we were engineered, not evolved. Now, this is not a new concept. Almost every ancient culture tells the same creation story. Beings of light arrived in massive ships. They created humans, gave them knowledge. Not from kindness, they needed intelligent slaves. But not too intelligent. That's why they destroyed versions 5 and 6. Millions died because they asked too many questions.
How'd they whack?
They said millions died because they asked too many questions. Don't ask too many questions, yo. That's crazy. Millions died because they asked too many questions. You hear that? I guess it says it in the Bible. It says don't question.
5 and
Nah, I don't know if it says it. I'm just playing.
Millions died because they
Don't
asked too
quote
many
me on that
questions.
right there, yo.
How'd they whack a whole planet?
Earthquakes, volcanoes, sometimes floods.
Younger Dryas flood.
Damn.
That was the last reset. Every culture has a flood myth because it happened. Lacerda expects the
Talking about the great resets, baby. Great resets. Let's go
too
back,
intelligent.
man. Let's go
That's why
back.
they destroyed versions 5 and 6. Millions died because they asked too many questions.
How'd they whack a whole planet?
That's
Earthquakes,
scary. That's
volcanoes,
scary right there.
Sometimes floods.
Millions died because they asked too many questions.
That was the last reset. Every culture has a flood myth because it happened. Lacerda expects the Illogim to return and finish their work. And we have no way to stop them. We don't have the technology to fight, and there's nowhere to hide. We can't go underground. Underground belongs to the lizards. The Derinkuyu underground city in Turkey is a puzzle. 18 levels deep, almost 300 feet below the surface. It has a ventilation system, a fresh water system. Acoustic chambers are tuned to specific frequencies. It was allegedly built with Bronze Age
Y'all make sure you hit that like button, support the channel.
Built it or when.
Derinkuyu link down in the washed up.
According to Lacerda, Derinkuyu isn't an ancient human city. It's an entrance to the Turan civilization, a vast network of cities underground. Their main settlements are 14,000 feet below the Earth's surface, and each city is about 1.5 miles wide, carved into solid bedrock. At the center is the Column, a 700-foot tower. It regulates climate, generates artificial sunlight, and manages the airflow.
It's a whole city
It's like
down
you listen,
there.
Alexa.
I guess so, yeah.
Hey, Alexa.
No, don't do that.
Hey,
You're gonna-
Alexa.
Everybody's Alexa
Write a
went
dirty
off.
limerick about the crab cat.
Why did you do that? We have kids watching.
See ya, the crab cat.
The Hypogeum in Malta has similar mysteries. Discovered in 1902, this underground structure also features unusual acoustic properties. How the huge stones were cut is still debated.
Giants immortal link down in the old goblet.
Cave systems in China reveal extensive tunnels. South American myths describe vast underground networks. Geological
Damn.
surveys have detected hollow spaces deep beneath the surface.
Damn.
But our technology can't reach them. There is one place underground that our technology can reach that's raised a few questions. Geologists studying the Chicxulub can
So
reach.
they found this whole cavity inside the earth, right, in a place, but they can't reach it. It can't even get to it or nothing like that. That's crazy.
Technology can't reach.
But look how that. So you have that spot right there that's big, and it channels down into bigger spots. Man, that's crazy right there.
There is one place underground that our technology can reach that's raised a few questions. Geologists studying the Chicxulub impact crater in the Yucatan Peninsula found layers of rock transformed by intense heat and pressure, but not from above, from below. According to Lacerda, these aren't random formations. They're scars, evidence of a war for copper.
For copper. For
We know what
copper.
killed the dinosaurs.
The
An
hell?
asteroid hit the Yucatan Peninsula about 66 million years ago. The impact left iridium in the geological record, but Lacerda says we have it backwards. The iridium wasn't from space. It was fallout from a nuclear weapon
Let me
that
take
used
this down
copper
so you
as
can see
fuel.
the number a
What's
little
so
bit better.
fancy about copper?
When copper undergoes nuclear fusion under specific conditions,
Oh.
it creates elements that shouldn't exist.
You about to say why it's so
Copper
important?
is a very important material.
Oh,
If you induce
wait, let's go back. Let's go
Used
back.
backwards. The impact left iridium in the geological record.
Hold on,
But
hold
Lacerda
on. We're
says
gonna go
we have it
back.
backwards.
Don't get.
The iridium wasn't from space. It was fallout from a nuclear weapon that used copper as fuel.
What's so fancy about copper?
When copper undergoes nuclear fusion under specific conditions, it creates elements that shouldn't exist.
Oh, damn. Yo, that's crazy. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back.
Conditions.
Fancy about copper.
When copper undergoes nuclear fusion under specific conditions, it creates elements that shouldn't exist.
Okay. So they're saying that when copper goes, right, under nuclear fusion in a certain condition, right, copper, it turns into elements that should not exist, right? Should not exist. Again, if you put copper in a nuclear infusion, right, in certain conditions, it makes elements that should not exist. That's insane right there. Like an element 115, right? Oh, are we into something like an element 115? If you were, copper makes element 115. That's the recipe to element 115. All speculation. I don't know nothing.
Copper is a very important material. If you induce a high electromagnetic field in the right angle, you produce an overcrossing of fluctuating fields. The fusion of copper with other elements in such a magnetic radiation field chamber can produce a force field of special nature that is very useful for various technological tasks.
Oh, thanks, sir. That clears it up. What is she talking about? I don't speak lizard.
She said copper can produce energy fields that can manipulate gravity, space, and time.
Oh.
UFOs use this for propulsion.
Uh-oh.
The craft creates a field oppositely aligned with the Earth's magnetic field.
Oh, so now you speak lizard.
When the same poles from two magnets are close to each other, they create a repelling field. UFOs use copper fusion to create a field that pushes against the Earth's magnetic field. This is how they fly.
It actually makes sense.
Let's go back.
Various technological tasks.
Oh, thanks, sir. That clears it up.
If you induce a high electromagnetic field in the right angle, you produce an overcrossing of fluctuating fields. The fusion of copper with other elements in such a magnetic radiation field chamber can produce a force field of special nature that is very useful for various technological tasks.
Oh, thanks, sir. That clears it up. What is she talking about?
In other words, you can do anti-gravity.
I don't speak lizard.
She said copper can produce energy fields that can manipulate gravity, space, and time. UFOs use this
Wait, and you probably use it for a time machine too, in a way, right? Oh, because if you're going that fast, it can manipulate time, right?
propulsion. The craft
What do
creates
you
a
think?
field oppositely aligned with the Earth's magnetic field.
Oh, so now you speak lizard.
When the same poles from two magnets are close to each other, they create a repelling field. UFOs use copper fusion to create a field that pushes against the Earth's magnetic field. This is how they fly.
It actually makes sense.
Like magnets, just opposite magnets,
But the
because
magnetic
Earth is
field
a
of the Earth
magnet.
is constantly moving. The UFOs have to adjust their alignment.
Oh.
And this is hard to do. Sometimes they fail.
Oh.
That's what happened in Roswell in 1947. Two ships crashed. According to
So the way the Earth moves messes with their magnetic field. So the magnetic field messes with their stuff. Let's see.
constantly
Let's see.
to create a field that pushes against the Earth's magnetic field. This is how they fly.
It actually makes sense.
But the magnetic field of the Earth is constantly moving. The UFOs have to adjust their alignment. And this is hard to do. Sometimes they fail. That's what happened in Roswell in 1947. Two ships crashed. According to Lacerda, two alien species discovered Earth at the same time millions of years ago. Humanoids from
Yo, that's why every time the bombs go off, like when they do those nuclear tests, because that's what happened over there at Roswell. They were doing nuclear tests that messed up with their I guess their anti-gravity systems and made them crash. So like they were already in the air type stuff, you know, like they were in the air already, just either watching us or doing something. But that's why they crashed, was because when that the nukes messes with them, man. I mean, on top of that, it destroys the planet, right? The nukes do mess with them, and that's why I think that obviously, they watch us, right? What y'all think, man? What y'all think? Y'all let me know down in the comments, man. What y'all think?
They built copper mines in Antarctica and Asia, and their ships filled the skies. Then another species arrived, reptilians with their own copper fusion technology, and they wanted Earth's copper.
Ooh.
The Procyons refused to share. The war lasted months. The Procyons were winning until the reptilians deployed their ultimate weapon, a copper fusion bomb. It detonated in Yucatan. They expected it to kill all surface life while preserving mineral deposits, but something went wrong. Earth's seawater triggered a chain reaction, and the nuclear winter lasted 200 years.
Damn.
Most dinosaurs died, but some escaped underground. One species, an advanced iguanodon, evolved into the tern, Lacerda's ancestors. Before the extinction event, iguanodons were evolving to walk on two legs, and they were evolving an opposable thumb.
Your human scientists today see the iridium concentration in the ground as an evidence for an asteroid impact that killed the dinosaurs. That is not true. But how should you know that?
Modern
They're mining all that stuff right now. Where did I hear they're mining it? In some place. That's what they're I want to say Africa or something like that. That asteroid hit over there, and that's what they've been mining. That the whole place is like worth billions, trillions, just insane amount of money, and they're just digging it up.
Militaries are trying to recreate copper fusion technology, but Lacerda says they're following blueprints they don't understand. The process requires a deeper knowledge, not just of physics, but of biology. Because the real power of copper fusion isn't just about manipulating matter. It's about manipulating human consciousness.
What? So it's not just about human matter, it's about human consciousness? Like, what? What?
During the second interview with OK, Lacerda demonstrated the Turn's psychic abilities. First, telekinesis. Lacerda held out her hand. His hot coffee froze instantly. A pencil rose from the table. OK was stunned.
This isn't magic. It's biology. We are able to use telepathy and telekinesis from our birth. The structure of our brain is a little bit different and more active than yours, especially when we are in sunlight. When we are on the surface and we meet human beings, we are able to touch their mind and induce them via telepathy the command, "See us as one of your kind." And the weak human mind will accept this order without refusing, and they will see us, despite our reptilian look, as normal humans.
Now that's game right there, baby. That's some game right there. The mind is weak. The mind plays tricks on us, man, and they that's all they do is use the mind against us.
Look at all human.
Let's go back.
Can you interview with OK? Table.
It's biology. We are able to use telepathy and telekinesis from our birth. The structure of our brain is a little bit different and more active than yours, especially when we are in sunlight. When we are on the surface and we meet human beings, we are able to touch their mind and induce them via telepathy the command, "See us as one of your kind."
And you ever seen those type of people that just like just come up to you, right? And you do things like, say like a salesman or something, and you get sold on it or something like that. They just could touch your mind better than others, right? Like you that's why they have good salesmen out there going door to door selling products better than others. Car salesmen, like what's his name? What's that Jack dude that be selling cars? I know you guys know who I'm talking about, man. And you know, some say it's that alpha, right? But nah, man, they staring at you in the eyes, bro. They're looking at you like right in the eyes, like, you know, doing things to you. And that's what they can do, but they could do it at 100 times better, you know?
On the surface and we meet human beings, we are able to touch their mind and induce them via telepathy the command, "See us as one of your kind." And the weak human mind will accept this order without refusing, and they will see us, despite our reptilian look, as normal humans.
Wait, lizard people could be anywhere. Look at all
Make sure you
human.
hit that
They could be.
thumbs up. Make sure you hit that thumbs up.
Is before we have come to this world in general, not only on New Year's Eve, but basically every day to cultivate.
I knew it. Daddy Illuminati.
The Turn are not the Illuminati.
Okay. Ugh.
Different reptilians are.
Ah.
Lacerda's people avoid humans, but another reptilian race controls Earth. If you know David Icke's work, her story confirms a lot of it. Icke said that a race of shape-shifting reptilians from the Draco star system has infiltrated the world's power structures.
Say that the people that actually live on the island are part of this. There are people. There's a network on the island that are
big time. I mean, the Isle of Wight's a beautiful
My
place.
dude is
and
crazy.
Pick up the higher levels, the vibrational levels of it. It's a very pleasant place to be. But my goodness me, there is a network of Freemasons, Satanists, and pedophiles that run this island.
And this is
they run its
Oh.
government,
the government, everything.
They're disguised as leaders in finance, media, and politics. They manipulate global events, steering us toward a one-world government.
This is common knowledge.
Icke says they operate from the moon, an artificial base built by ancient aliens.
Hollow moon link down in your bento box.
The moon broadcasts frequencies that create negative emotions. The reptilians feed on this.
Humans or lizard people lunch episode. Link down in your.
I love the fish,
Yeah, I've
man.
covered bits and pieces of Icke's work here and there, but he needs his own episode.
Hecklefish.
He has a lot of interesting theories.
Fix.
Now, if you want to see that, let me know. All right, where we at?
Hell yeah, I want to see
Players
that.
Throwing pencils around.
Gotta
and
make a
manipulating
video,
the
champ.
weak-minded humans.
Right. Old K sees Lacerda's true form only because she allows it. She normally appears as an attractive brunette.
What? Nobody wants to appear as a chunky ginger.
Nice. Lacerda says the humans
the
have these
fish.
abilities, but the Illogym suppress them, and some governments are aware of this. The Pentagon's ESP research wasn't just about human psychics. They studied sites where magnetic field fluctuations altered children's brainwaves.
Oh, damn.
The classified report concluded the Illogym left something in human DNA, and whatever it is, it's waking up.
The Illogym.
Earth's magnetic North Pole is moving faster than ever recorded, about
Okay.
35 miles per year. The world magnetic model can't keep up, and scientists don't fully understand why.
What?
Lacerda says these disturbances are part of the Illogym's plan. They build triggers into human DNA, programming that activates under specific conditions. The shifting magnetic field affects human consciousness.
The Illogym didn't just want workers, they wanted weapons. Living weapons that would evolve exactly as planned. Your rapid technological advancement wasn't an accident. It was programmed into your DNA.
3 alien species are coming for Earth. One needs human genetics, another wants hydrogen from our oceans, and the third wants copper for weapons. The Illogym engineered us to defeat them all.
Damn, so we are army, yo. That's what we are. We are army.
Territorial instincts, pack mentality. They built you to fight. The 7th version wasn't their final creation.
Let's
It was
go,
their first
baby.
Successful prototype.
So the Illogym aren't coming to destroy humanity.
Nah.
They're coming to complete what they started.
That's
The
right.
question isn't whether we'll survive, it's whether we'll still be human when they're done.
Damn. Damn. That's crazy.
When the Lacerda files landed on the web in the early 2000s, it got people's attention. Dinosaurs killed by alien wars, humans engineered by ancient astronauts, underground reptilian cities, magnetic fields controlling human consciousness. It's an incredible story that
That's
has
a
a lot
lot.
of supporters. But is it true?
It's a lot to take in, man.
Let's
It's a lot to
separate
take
fact
in.
from speculation. Derinkuyu exists. It's an underground city in Turkey, extending roughly 280 feet below the surface.
Damn.
Its ventilation system still fascinates engineers. Some say the stonework shows signs of advanced technology, but most experts believe that people were just really talented. The Malta Hypogeum is famous for its acoustic properties. Chambers are tuned to 110 hertz, and nobody knows why. The site's stonework is also very precise. While no mainstream evidence suggests it's beyond Neolithic capabilities, the skill involved is still impressive. But geological surveys confirm vast cave networks winding deep beneath the Earth's surface. And this brings out the hollow Earth theories. Now, until we can see with our own eyes, all we can do is guess. Deep sea monitoring stations record unexplained sounds like the bloop. Experts say they're ice quakes or marine life. Maybe, but parts of the ocean are too deep to reach for now. The Chicxulub crater marked an asteroid impact that killed the dinosaurs, and most scientists agree. But there are some who say that the heat and pressure came from below. Now, scientists laugh at those people, but honestly, the asteroid killing the dinosaurs theory is pretty new. When I was a kid, people got laughed at for believing this. It wasn't until the early 1990s that the crater was found. So as always, the only thing separating a conspiracy from the truth is time. Our own
Damn.
evolution raises questions too. It took early humans hundreds of thousands of years to refine stone tools. Then suddenly agriculture, written language, advanced technology. Now, anthropologists say once we learned to write, technology could accelerate because now we had a way of passing information along.
Right.
I'm open-minded about the ancient advanced civilization theory, but I'm not a full believer. Still, I'll watch and read anything that Graham Hancock puts out. Earth's magnetic pole moves between 25 and 35 miles per year, the fastest rate ever recorded. It's definitely happening. Now, I don't think aliens caused it, but if you want nightmares about pole shifts, watch our episode on the Adam and Eve story.
Adam and Eve nightmare fuel link down in your honey hole.
Now, read the transcripts. It's either scientific genius or nonsense, and I'm not smart enough to tell. It's full of terms like quantum technology for bubble walking in the omniverse and reptilian parathalamus matter interaction.
Who wrote this thing? Terrence Howard.
Please don't say that. He watches this channel. Now, the biggest problem with the Lacerda Files story is that old K's identity has never been confirmed. He's called K after Tommy Lee Jones's character from The Men in Black.
Here come the men in black. The Galaxy
See, defend us.
True or not, The Lacerda Files is a fun read. Now, so far, there's no documented proof of contact with non-human intelligence. Every year we get teased about disclosure, but I won't hold my breath. I think we've had contact, but I don't think they're going to tell us. And you've heard me say that I don't think UFOs.
Homie
are
can
from
only
another
say what he
planet.
could say, though.
If you look at the ancient structures
He
on the
said
ground,
I can't say
patterns
everything
in
I
our
know.
history, the
I'm
anomalies
just
in our
telling you
DNA,
what I could, what
evidence
they're
doesn't
letting
point
me
to
say.
Something from another world. It points to something that never left. Thank you so much for hanging out today. My name is AJ. That's Egglefish.
Shout out to the
This is
Y-Files, man. I
If you ever learn
love
anything,
watching
do
the
me a favor,
Y-Files,
subscribe,
man.
comment, like, share. It
My
doesn't take
favorite.
much effort, but that stuff really helps. And like most topics we cover here on the channel,
We about to
today's
watch
was
another.
recommended by you.
About to watch
So if
something
there's
else
story
right
you'd
now
like
in
to
a
see
second.
or
Let's
learn more
let me see what
about,
we're gonna
go to
get into right now.
theyfiles.com/tips.
Let's see
Remember,
what we're
the
gonna get
Y-Files is
into
also a
in
podcast.
just a
Twice week
second.
every-
I got another video coming right here. It's the undergrounds.
If you've been injured,
All
in
the
a
stuff
car
that's
accident,
been going
don't-
on the undergrounds. Let's take a look here.
Doing a whole compilation. Someone mentioned it on the live stream a couple of weeks ago that we've done so many stories about holes, we should do a compilation of them. Now,
It always does that
And then
once
went
to
back and looked
switch
at
the
catalog,
audio.
and we've got something like 10 or 11 stories
There we
about
go.
holes and underground mysteries and all that stuff. So we're not going to do all of them, but I picked 6 or 7 of my favorites.
We're gonna take a look
And
at some
really, the only way
holes.
to
That's
kick
what we
off
talking
a
about.
good
Something
hole
like where the
compilation is with the classic. Mel's
hole people live.
I
Let's
have
get
no
into it.
idea. He was supposed to be here hours ago.
Yeah, copy that, IT. I got signal lock and running 5x5.
Hello, we're supposed to shoot today.
Yo, I'm shooting today, just not in the studio. My warfare proficiency metrics have fallen below standards, so I've been reassigned for combat readiness recertification.
Reassigned where?
Well, present location coordinates are classified. All I can say is I've been detailed aboard a top-secret, nuclear-powered vessel engaged in high-tempo, full-spectrum maritime readiness drill.
I didn't know you were in the Navy.
Oh, you didn't notice how comfortable I am with seamen?
Really?
Nah, I know that.
We have a little live call-in session so y'all can call in and go ahead and voice your opinion.
Fire gunnery exercises, maneuvers at flank, and CQB drills to ensure I remain primed for any kinetic engagement.
Let me guess. Today's sponsor.
War Thunder, baby!
War Thunder is the ultimate vehicle combat game. Free to play. Vulnerable.
Let's fast forward here.
To deliver some high-velocity democracy. We are weapons-free.
So are you
Look, I gotta go. I'm dangerous.
What up, Chris? Shout out to you, homie.
Require immediate actual to battle group. All units switch to encrypted channel 10.
extends down into darkness. Not only did Mel Waters and his wife dump everything in the hole, but so did his neighbors. And this has been going on for a long time, for years before Mel even moved in. Mel's neighbors said they couldn't remember a time when the hole wasn't there. So why can't you hear objects hitting the bottom? Why can't you hear your own echo? Mel set out to determine exactly how far down this hole goes.
That's just what I like to look at. Y'all just chilling with me while I'm doing what I do. That's why I like the whole UFO thing. You don't like UFOs?
An avid fisherman, Mel had spools of fishing line on hand, so he attached a 1-pound weight to the line and sent it down the hole. It went 4,500 feet, the full length of the reel, and didn't hit bottom. He reeled the line up, attached a roll of lifesavers, and sent it all the way down again. Mel wanted to see if there was water at the bottom, and if there was, the lifesavers would come up dissolved, but they came up dry. And Mel had more spools of fishing line, each one 5,000 feet. He attached another spool, now down almost 10,000 feet, and still no bottom. Spool after spool of fishing line went down the hole. He could not reach the bottom. By the time Mel ran out of line, he was 80,000 feet down, over 15 miles, and still no bottom. While experimenting, Mel noticed that his dogs wouldn't come anywhere near the hole. Even when forced, the dogs would dig their feet in. There were no animals of any kind near the hole. No wildlife, no insects. Birds even flew around it. And since the hole was known to his neighbors,
Mel asked around if anyone noticed their dogs feeling uneasy by the hole, and they all said yes. Then one of his neighbors said, "Speaking of dogs, not too long ago his dog died, so he threw its body into the hole." A few days later, that dog came back.
What the heck was that,
After Mel's
yo?
neighbor threw his dead dog into the hole.
Why? Just why?
I don't know.
You can't bury it.
I really don't know.
Sometimes humans are very.
Hell yeah!
disappointed.
Shout out to you,
It
Eric
certainly
Larson.
can be. Anyway, a couple of days after disposing of his dog's body down the hole, he saw it running through a wooded area near the property. Now, he knew it was his dog because it was wearing the same collar, but for some reason, the dog didn't come when he called. And the dog acted like he didn't know his owner at all.
Ooh, maybe it's a version of his dog from another dimension.
Well, that's definitely a theory. And as the weird stories piled up and the fishing line kept going down, Mel was at a loss. He was
Out of his depth.
right. Mel needed help figuring out exactly what this hole was. And in 1997, there's only one place to discuss the strange and mysterious and be taken seriously. Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
Make sure you hit that like button, champ.
American Southwest. I bid you all good evening and or good morning wherever you may be across this great land of ours.
Coast to Coast was on hundreds of stations around the world and had 10 million listeners. If anyone could help Mel, it was Art Bell and his audience. Mel sent Art a message on February 21st, 1997. Art called him, and Mel's hole became known to the world. Over the course of several shows, Mel Waters would reveal more and more details about the mysterious hole. The good news is Mel was getting really good advice from people all around the world, like use a laser to measure or use radar to check the distance. The bad news is now millions of people knew about this hole, and from clues given by Mel on the radio, you can get a pretty good idea of where it was. The day after the first broadcast, Mel was
So the
returning to
hole
his
started
property,
becoming very
but the
popular.
entrance was
Everybody
blocked.
started getting recognized of this hole. We're talking
The
about
US
this hole that
military
went
was
down
now
like
aware of the hole,
20,
and they wanted
30,000
it
feet or
all
something.
to themselves.
After the show on Friday night, I went out there and noticed there were some helicopter activity around the property. There was further helicopter activity the next day, and so I figured that clearly somebody out there listens to your program.
Oh, yes.
Mel said that the hole could affect things in the environment around it. Animals avoided it, but plants seemed to grow extremely well. Radios acted weird. If Mel brought a radio near the hole, the signal would get very staticky and then start picking up broadcasts from somewhere else. One day his radio started picking up what he describes as old-time music. So he goes to change the channel and tunes into a baseball game.
Point behind the St. Louis first baseman. When on second, 2 outs.
This is
What the
fine
hell?
until
So
he
that
realized
hole
the
was
game
like
played
channeling
in
into some type of
1967.
other dimension or
Years ago.
something. Parallel
His first
dimension
call with
or
Mel
old
goes on
school
for about
dimension.
an hour and then they wrap up. Mel was staying in Ellensburg for a couple of days and had made the call from there. When Mel Waters returned from town, the access road to his property was blocked by armed military personnel, and there was evidence that heavy machinery had been brought in. Mel was told there was a plane crash on the property, but there was no report of a crash, no fire, no smoke. Still, Mel was told he couldn't access the property until the crash was completely investigated. When Mel asked to speak to the person in charge, a man in civilian clothes told him that the land was not necessarily his anymore, and it would be very easy to find a drug lab on the property if he didn't leave. Mel threatened to go to the press. The man in charge,
Man in Black.
the man in black, told him, go ahead and talk. Nobody would believe it. But Art Bell and his audience would believe it. And a few days later, Art called Mel for an update. Mel said that a neighbor saw a dark beam coming out of the hole and up through the clouds, darker than anything he'd ever seen. Now, Mel admitted he didn't see this himself, but Art Bell and several callers said that this part of Washington has a lot of UFO sightings, disappearances, and other paranormal activity. Callers had their own theories. Maybe the hole was sitting on a ley line and there was a portal to another dimension, or it was a portal through time, and that's why everything thrown into it disappeared. Maybe somewhere in an alternate reality, there's a big pile of garbage, old appliances, and dead animals just piling up. Who knows?
Maybe.
One caller thought
That
this could be a
sounds-
tunnel to the hollow earth.
Ooh, like a subway for lizard people.
Lizard people.
Something like that. There were a lot of theories. And since Mel couldn't access his property anymore, he talked to other locals trying to get more information. An elderly neighbor said that many years ago, there was a series of stone columns around the hole.
Like Stonehenge?
Right, but without the cross beams, which are called lintels.
Lentils?
Lintels.
What'd I say?
Someone from the audience reminded
I
Mel
like
that calling
lentils.
into the show
They're good.
is a big mistake because obviously the government is listening. So the show ends and Mel agrees to come back for an update. On the day Mel is scheduled to reappear, he's a no-show and not picking up his phone.
Uh-oh. Not good. Definitely not good. Hey, thank you for that one like. Let's go. We got a like in this thing. I was gonna say a bad word, but I didn't want to say no bad words.
And researched this, and I'll be doggone, they didn't find the hole, but they did find near the area where you were talking about a lot of military boot prints and all kinds of information that would indicate the military, in fact, had been there or was there.
Oh, they would have probably seen a lot of yellow gear tread marks in the ground.
Yep.
It would be 3 years before Mel resurfaces. He said he was offered $3 million a year to lease his property to somebody. But the deal was sign a non-disclosure agreement, leave the country immediately, and never come back. So Mel takes the deal, and he lives in Australia for 2 years. But he's missing his family and decides to come back to the States for a visit.
Not smart.
It wasn't. Mel was warned not to do this, but he does it anyway.
Give me $3 million not to come back to the States. I'm gone.
Radio, but he never shows up. Mel said on the day he was supposed to come on, he was on a bus to visit his nephew. And on the bus, there was some kind of altercation and the police were called. All the passengers are questioned and put on a different bus. Then Mel blacks out.
Uh-oh. He wakes up in Sanford.
And the next thing he remembers is that he's in San Francisco and 12 days have passed. Mel woke up in an alley.
Damn.
His wallet and keys were missing. He realizes his arm hurts. He rolls up his sleeve and there are needle holes and tape marks from an IV.
Oh, what the
And
hell?
as he becomes more lucid, he tastes blood in his mouth. His back teeth are missing.
Whoa.
Mel never makes it back to the property. There was legal action taken against him for illegal construction. Power lines, septic tanks, paved roads. Of course, he didn't build these. The government had occupied the property for 2 years. Still, Mel lost everything. And a day or two after calling into Art's show, his bank account was emptied. Now, to be fair, plenty of people are calling in saying that this is all a hoax, but Art Bell is the master. Hoax or not, it's a great story, so he lets Mel continue. But Art does say that a TV crew was in the area looking for the hole. They didn't find it, but they did find evidence of a lot of military activity. And the no-fly zone has been mysteriously expanded to cover the area. In fact, TerraServer, which was a mapping site before Google Earth, showed that the whole area was blacked out.
What the
and
hell?
This was confirmed. Skeptical callers said that Mel could have found the blacked out part of the map and pretended his property was there. The problem with that is, TerraServer launched 6 months after Mel made the first phone call. He couldn't have known. Soon we learned that a Native American tribe had contacted Mel and asked him if he wanted to come to Nevada and help them research.
Research what?
Another bottomless hole.
A bottomless hole, yo. That's a hole to the other
They
side.
took me there. I did not go all the way up to the hole, but there was conversations between the Native Americans and the Basque and blah blah blah, and they basically agreed that everything was as it should be. That I wasn't from CNN or the FBI or the CIA or whatever. Right. And so I went there and I got to see the hole. Now,
What's there?
The second hole wasn't located on the Indian reservation where they lived. It was actually on public land that was used by Basques. The Basques are an ethnic group that comes from a small region between France and Spain. The Basques settled a couple of areas in the United States, including Nevada, in the mid-1800s, and they were using this land to herd sheep. They told Mel that the hole was there for as long as their people were, so at least 200 years. And they considered the hole and the land around it sacred. This hole was just over 9 feet wide, just like Mel's. But where Mel's hole had a stone retaining wall of a few feet, the second hole had a metal collar, and metal lining down as far as the eye can see. And this hole was warm to the touch. You could feel heat all around it. And the metal wouldn't make any sound or vibrate at all. Mel accidentally dropped a tool on the metal collar, and the impact was completely silent. So Mel and the Basque begin their experiments. The first test was they lowered a bucket of ice down into the hole about 1,000 feet, and they kept some ice at the surface as a control. When the surface ice was melted, they brought the bucket back up. That ice didn't melt at all.
Oh.
And even stranger, the ice was no longer cold to the touch, and it wasn't wet. The ice felt like large pieces of salt. So they tried to melt the ice over an open flame.
It didn't melt, did it?
Oh.
Nope, it caught fire. Not only
What
that,
the hell,
it continued
you?
to burn for months. So they
What?
continued sending different amounts of ice down the hole. About 2/3 of the time it melted normally, but 1/3 of the time it was transformed. Now at this point, one of the braver Basque volunteered to go down the hole himself.
What? Is he nuts?
Yeah, everyone agrees that that's not a good idea. So they decided to send down a sheep.
A sheep? Ooh, what happened to the sheep? Oh no!
Oh. Poor sheep. Damn.
Well, I just felt I was in the presence of something extraordinary, something beyond extraordinary, something like in that category of having a religious thing. This was just such a stunning thing to witness.
The sheep did not want to go in the hole. The closer it got, the more
poor
it tried to
sheep.
take its way out of its crate.
Poor
They lowered
sheep.
the crate down the hole to 1,000 feet.
It's crazy
At
how
that
like
point, it stopped
animals
moving.
animals
And they
know
felt
what's
a
up,
humming
yo.
sensation. They left the sheep down there for 30 minutes and then brought it back up. There was no movement. The crate was unchanged and the sheep looked fine, but it was dead.
Oh.
The Basque, being shepherds, knew how to butcher a sheep, so they brought it to a table for a quick autopsy.
Oh, for crying out loud, what are they doing?
The first thing that they noticed is that the sheep looked like it was cooked from the inside. And taking up almost the entire cavity of the sheep's body was what Mel described as a giant tumor.
Ugh,
Then the tumor starts moving.
what in the
What?
is going on with this story?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is intense.
Then they cut the tumor open.
No.
Inside the tumor is what Mel describes as a fetal seal.
Wait. Did you just say a fetal seal?
Yeah, like a baby seal. It was attached to the tumor by an umbilical cord. But this seal-like creature had the eyes of a human. They watched the creature for a while as it crawled to the end of the table. And Mel felt like it wanted to get back to the hole, so he picked it up and set it near the edge. Of course, the creature was slimy, and Mel said that the fluid had the smell of ozone. So the men studied the creature, and it seemed to study the men for about 2 hours. Then the seal creature gave them a final look and jumped in the hole. Now, before Mel went to Nevada, he was diagnosed with advanced esophageal cancer. He had only 6 months to live. But after this experience, Mel was cancer-free. He thinks he was cured by the
Magic seal.
Yep. Mel felt like he had a transcendent experience. He was completely changed after this. And just then, the radio show runs out of time.
No.
Damn. What's going on
Across
here?
from me over here
That's crazy. I
is
can't.
the actual roadway into Mel's Hole. Don't go up that road. Up there a ways is a fence. But you get across that fence, you're in a deep bunch of trouble. It might be that you simply disappear, period.
Oh,
A
damn.
few months later, Mel returned to coast. Something crazy happened with that bucket of ice. Remember one of the Basque took the burning ice to his cabin to keep warm? He had it in a stove. It burned for months, and it was pulling all the moisture out of the air. The air in the cabin was always dry. The owner's skin was always dry. He was constantly thirsty. When boiling water, the steam would be pulled into the stove. One day, the stove crashed through the floor and into the ground under the cabin. But it was still warm, so he patched up the floor and used the hole for warmth. A couple of weeks later, he's returning home and his entire cabin has collapsed and turned to dust.
What the?
He moves in with his brother for a while. A month later, he comes back to the cabin and sees that the stove is now 5 feet underground, and the hole made by the stove was perfectly smooth.
It was making a new baby bottomless hole.
Yeah.
It was, and they couldn't get the stove back up. It took a giant crane to finally get the stove out of the hole.
What the hell? A
At this
giant
point,
crane?
The Basque said they were sometimes visited by the entity that they discovered in the hole.
The magic seal?
Yes, the magic seal. They felt it
They
was a
made
benevolent
something.
presence and considered the whole experience to be very spiritual. There are now brightly colored birds circling the hole. Birds that seem to be immune to bullets.
That's how they respond to a spiritual experience. Shoot the birds?
I guess.
Freaking Basque.
The Basque even believe the magic seal is communicating with them over the radio using a system of beeps and clicks as language which they can understand. The creature warns the Basque that the ice is dangerous and can't fall into the wrong hands and would lead to the destruction of the planet. Art asks if there's a recording of this language. There is. The Basque recorded everything. For the next hour, a few more theories are considered, and Art finally gets Mel to agree to come back on the show. But this time, he would bring the recording, photos, video, and everything he can get his hands on. Mel agrees to go back to Nevada and gather all the evidence. He hangs up, and the show ends. Mel is never heard from again. He doesn't respond to Art's calls, and eventually the line is disconnected. So after 5 years, the story of Mel's hole finally comes to an end. But someone actually went to the location to see what was there. These are the pictures. During one of his phone calls, Mel said there were 2 old buildings on the property, and one of them eventually collapsed under snow. This fits the description pretty well. And also on the property is this. Yep, a hole about 9 feet wide with a stone retaining wall, exactly how Mel described. Now this caused quite a stir online, but the hole turned out to be an old well and definitely had a bottom. If you search the internet, you'll find a lot of people claiming they found Mel's hole. They haven't. It's never been found. At least, not yet. As for Mel, he's a complicated character. There's no record of a Mel or Melvin Waters living in the area, but some have claimed he was using a pseudonym to protect his identity. That makes sense. But
Damn.
something that really hurts the credibility of the story is the lack of pictures. In every call, Art asks for photographs, but sometimes Mel just doesn't think to take a picture. He forgets, which is ridiculous. Another time he says cameras don't work near the hole because of interference. Or he does have pictures and recordings, but they're not handy, so he'll send them when he can. But in Mel's defense, he never plugs anything. Even if this is a hoax, he could have made a fortune selling t-shirts, books, phony photographs, anything. People would buy that stuff just because it's cool. I would buy a Mel's Hole t-shirt.
I went to Mel's hole, and all I got was this magic seal
That's
fetus.
funny.
Yeah, that part of the story was pretty wild. And that's a common argument, that Mel's story got crazier and crazier, and eventually he just couldn't keep up with it, so he bailed on the hoax. But he was pretty consistent with the facts over 5 years. And Art Bell tried many, many times to trip him up, and he couldn't do it. Now, the hole itself just isn't geologically possible. A hole many miles deep would be unstable and collapse in on itself.
Right?
Unless it was a bottomless hole to another dimension.
Right. Unless it's that.
Right.
But I don't think we'll ever know. Mel's Hole has many believers, but I don't think Art Bell was one of them. But Art was an entertainer, and this is the type of story that his listeners loved. It's a legend that people still talk about 30 years later. But for me in this channel, this was a masterclass on how to present an urban legend. Let the story breathe, but still challenge the specifics. Explore the mystery, but keep it grounded.
Right.
Be critical, but compassionate.
Right.
I try to approach topics this way, but very few others do. A channel that tells mysterious... was 2 years into this, 73 episodes.
Damn.
And nobody was watching. It was like 2,500 people, subscribers, and they weren't watching. It would get like 500 views. That's why I still get annoyed when I see comments online about how the Wi-Fi's just turned on a channel and just exploded out of nowhere. That's not what happened. But I made videos for 2 years that nobody watched. Unless
Right.
you're one of those 50 people, and I appreciate it.
Nah.
2022, that was...
I feel you,
that was
champ.
when Mel's Hole came out, and that was like our breakout year. 2022 was
We
our
got to keep
breakout
grinding.
year.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to
23 was a
keep
growth
grinding. We're
year.
going to pop.
And
And you guys going to be
2024
part of the
was a
community. All you got to do is hit that
lessons
like button,
learned
subscribe to the channel. Y'all going to be part of the community
I called it
too.
a setback year, and Jen didn't like that. She said, "Oh, we learned some lessons." Maybe I'll do a backstage about that when we get into the next year. Anyway, next up on our whole compilation is episode 122, Finding Agartha, the Search for the Hidden City in the Center of the Earth. This is a long episode. Hope you stick around.
5+00.
Cultures around the world have myths that speak of a mysterious underground kingdom that exists deep within the earth, hidden away from the primitive and violent surface dwellers, which is us. Picture a society untouched by time, unscathed by war, and unaffected by natural disasters. A culture thriving in the vast open spaces inside the earth. Throughout history, many have looked for physical evidence of its existence, tempted by stories of a peaceful but powerful subterranean civilization with advanced technology and ancient knowledge long forgotten by modern man.
See if we can find another one
This
here.
is the story of the underground kingdom of Agartha, and the explorers who've said that not only is it a real place, but they know where it is. Stories of a hollow earth have existed in cultures for thousands of years. Nearly every ancient society has stories about an underground realm, often inhabited by superior beings.
This is the one right here. Let's watch this one. Reality is an
To
illusion.
simulate an entire universe, you'd obviously need more advanced technology than we have. But that doesn't mean we won't get there. Moore's law says that computing power doubles every 18 months, and this has held true for about 50 years. Now that is slowing down a little bit, but only because of physical limitations. Assuming we can learn to make microchips smaller, and there's no doubt that we will, it's predicted that artificial intelligence could surpass human intelligence within the next 100 years. As Elon Musk points out, when he was a kid, the world's most advanced video game was Pong, 2 rectangles on a screen. 40 years later, video game technology is barely distinguishable from reality. He said that 6 years ago. And even in that short time, video game engines have become even more realistic. Look at this footage from Unreal Engine 5.
When a world we can build feels as real as our own.
Imagine what games are going to look like in the next 6 years, or the next 60, or the next 6,000. But simulating an entire universe, how big of a computer will we need? Well, it's estimated
Quantum
there are
computer.
10 to the power of 80 atoms in the universe. Let me put that on the screen just for fun. Okay, that's a lot. If each particle needs 128 bits to calculate its position and momentum, you're at 10 to the power of 83 bits. And that's just for data storage. We also need computing power to track what each of those particles is doing. If we say 2 floating point operations per second, or 2 flops per particle, we're at 2 times 10 to the 80th power flops. There aren't even words for these numbers. And this is the computing power for just the stuff in the universe. What about human intelligence? The human brain can perform 100 trillion calculations per second, or 100 teraflops. Multiplied by billions of people, the numbers are ridiculous. To power all of this, the simulation would need access to multiple Dyson spheres, the megastructures that capture 100% of the energy of a star. Or the simulation would have to harness the energy from black holes. This is why famous physicists like Dr. Michio Kaku are not on board with simulation theory. He claims that simulating a universe is not scientifically possible. The only computer capable of simulating a universe is the universe itself. Now, at first glance, this makes sense. But with all due respect to Dr. Kaku, that's not how simulations work. When you're playing a 3D video game, the entire game world isn't rendered. Instead, the game engine only calculates what the player can see and interact with at that specific moment. If we are living in a simulation, then it would make sense that the creators of the simulation would use a similar technique. And wouldn't it be interesting if there was evidence that this is exactly what happens?
Well, wait a minute. Do we have proof? Sweet fancy Moses!
Supporters of simulation theory often point to video games as a way to explain, if not prove, that our reality is artificial. In a video game, the only data that is rendered is what the player simulation. It would make sense that our reality is rendered the same way. And we could test this.
Wait, well, what do you mean we can test this?
Wait.
Specifically,
What?
we can use the double slit experiment. Here's how it
Piff,
goes.
what up,
If we fire
man?
particles in a straight line on the screen, after
What's going
passing
on,
through
homie?
a single slit, we would expect to see this clumping pattern on the screen. If we try this with a wave, we expect.
Let's see how we can prove this right here, that we're in
we
a
can use the
simulation.
double slit experiment. Here's how it goes. If we fire particles in a straight line at a screen, after passing through a single slit, we would expect to see this clumping pattern on the screen. If we try this with a wave, we expect to see a pattern like this, where particles are most dense in the middle of the screen but radiate outward, similar to the clumping pattern. When we add a second slit, it starts to get fun. When the waves pass through the double slit, each slit creates its own wave. When those waves intersect, they cancel each other out. That creates a pattern like this. It's called an interference pattern. So, particles passing through two slits create clumping patterns. Waves through two slits creates an interference pattern. Make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
Good. If we fire electrons through the slit, we see the clumping pattern as expected. An electron has mass, so it's a tiny bit of matter. So if we fire electrons through two slits, we should see two clumps. But we don't. We see the wave interference pattern. This shouldn't be happening. What's going on here? For years, scientists assumed that the electrons were colliding with each other, causing the wave pattern. But in the 60s, the experiment was modified so that only one electron at a time was fired through the slits. There was no way the electrons could interact with each other. Yet we still see an interference pattern. Scientists wanted to see what was causing this, so they added a detector to observe electrons as they pass through the slits. That's when things go from weird to paranormal. As soon as the detectors were installed, the interference pattern went away and the clumping pattern returned. Take the detectors away and the wave interference pattern is back.
But that's a different result.
I got it now.
So here's the last bit of
I got
we
it.
can play with atoms. Surely
Let me know if you didn't get it. I'll explain it to you.
leave the detector there, but just very quietly go and unplug it. Don't let the atoms know that you're not spying on them. Run the experiment again. Now, if you can explain this using common sense and logic, do let me know, because there's a Nobel Prize for you.
It's as if the particles are aware they're being observed. Then physicist John Wheeler had an idea. He called it the delayed choice experiment. How it works is, photons are projected through the double slit, but the detector is not activated until after they pass through the slit, but before they impact the screen. Photons were emitted as waves, passed through the slits as waves, but when the waves were observed before hitting the screen, they suddenly behaved like particles again. Still don't think there's an intelligence at work? Well, what Wheeler's experiment showed is that even though the electrons started as waves but behaved like particles after being observed, at the moment the decision to observe them was made, the electrons recorded themselves as having passed through the slits as particles. The electrons changed their state by going back in time.
I personally find that I gravitate more towards the information theoretic point of view and believing that the universe that I exist in is a very good, high-quality simulation.
Now, this experiment is happening on a table in a lab, a very short distance. So what happens when we observe light coming from vast distances, like say a galaxy 100 million light years away? If light from a distant galaxy is projected through the double slit, it creates the wave interference pattern. But if we push those photons through a measuring apparatus to observe them, the wave again collapses all the way back to its source. This is called retrocausality. Simply by choosing to observe the photons this way, they reach back through time 100 million years and alter their state on the other side of the galaxy. But like a video game engine, it only does
the other side of the galaxy.
Even though our universe is full of galaxies, those galaxies may not actually be there. If we're living in a simulation, then stars and galaxies could simply be projections, and only when we get up close would those projections become more detailed. This is an excellent way to save computational resources. And because we're stuck with the hard limit of the speed of light, getting to far off places is really difficult. Limiting the speed of light is a useful rule to have in place. Quantum mechanics like the double slit experiment and quantum entanglement only make sense if there's a program at work, because only the program can ignore the laws of physics and ignore the concept of time itself.
Damn.
A convenient case for simulation theory is you can't disprove it. The Big Bang, that was the simulation booting up. We haven't found aliens, they're not in the simulation. How come UFOs seem to violate the laws of physics? Well, because they're programs operated by the simulation creators. They don't have to follow the laws of physics.
Yeah, but who created the simulation? simulation?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? When you think of the simulation creator as an omniscient intelligence who exists outside of our understanding of space and time, it sounds an awful lot like you're describing God. And just like you can't prove we're not in a simulation, you can't prove there is no God. If something miraculous happens or something horrible happens, you can say it's part of the simulation just as easily as you can say it's part of God's plan.
Right.
Something I find very interesting is that many believers of simulation theory are fierce atheists. They dismiss the idea of God as corny superstition. And there are plenty of devoutly religious people who dismiss provable science like evolution and the age of the earth. People on the religious side say that if there is no God and life is just a simulation, then nothing matters. Without God to guide us and sometimes punish us, depending on what you believe, our actions don't have consequences. I disagree. Even if we don't live in base reality, we still live in our reality, and our actions here do have consequences. As for what happens after we die, simulation or not, nobody really knows. Both sides argue that faith and science are not compatible. Isn't this hypocritical? Whether you believe in God or you believe in simulation theory, the real question is, what's the difference?
What is the difference?
Folks, this is just staggering stuff.
What is the difference?
Again, I've become obsessed with this idea. By the way, that's the Y files. That was a YouTube video. It's really amazing.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks for that shout out, Bongino. Next episode is number 104. It's the Gateway Process, which was developed by the Monroe Institute. Super interesting. It says our entire universe is a type of hologram, and with the proper training, you can tap into this hologram and actually change it, like bend the universe to your will. And the U.S. military sent soldiers there for training.
Damn.
I wonder
So
if they
they're
got it to
saying
work.
this is a simulation, and you can go ahead and manifest anything into that
The
simulation.
United
That's
States
what this is
military
about.
is always looking for new ways to create super soldiers. They use performance-enhancing and mind-altering drugs. They're currently experimenting with brain implant technology. They've even explored genetic engineering to
Does
try
that sound
and
like
breed the perfect soldier.
Neuralink?
But those are nothing compared to what happened in 1983.
Hey, thank you for
when
that other
Lieutenant
like.
Colonel Wayne McDonald submitted a very unusual and detailed report.
Yes, sir.
Hearing to try and breed the perfect soldier. But those are nothing compared to what happened in 1983 when Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonald submitted a very unusual and detailed report to U.S. Army intelligence. It was called Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. This is a step-by-step guide on how to achieve an out-of-body experience for the purpose of intelligence gathering. But Colonel McDonald's report went much further than that. An advanced Gateway participant can not just project their consciousness to a different place, they could pull their consciousness completely out of this reality. They
What?
could travel anywhere in the universe and at any point in time. The report revealed that our universe doesn't actually exist. It's a construct created by our mind. By using the Gateway process, you can exit the construct and see reality for what it really is. The 30-page Gateway report was immediately classified for one simple reason. Anyone can learn to do it.
Oh.
Even you.
Definitely gonna want to tune
Colonel
in.
McDonald's analysis and assessment of Gateway process gets right to the point. There are alternate states of reality and other dimensions that exist outside our physical world and outside of time itself.
Whoa, it sounds like I'm gonna need a brain bucket for this one.
Oh yeah, this is the strangest military report I've ever read. I'm surprised it's not still classified. According to the report, we can use the Gateway process to access other dimensions. Now, if you think that sounds paranormal or like New Age mumbo-jumbo, you're not alone. Even Colonel McDonald was aware that this was the impression his report would give. So he starts off by grounding his research in science. McDonald consults Itzhak Bentov, a well-respected biomedical engineer, to help him understand the physical aspect of the process. He uses quantum mechanics to describe the nature of human consciousness, and he employs both classical and theoretical physics to explain the out-of-body phenomenon. But most importantly, the report gives step-by-step instructions on how to have a gateway experience. Follow these instructions, and you could learn to astrally project, visit other dimensions, and even slip in and out of time. This is why the military was drawn to it and studied it for years. If the United States could train a unit of psychic spies that could project their consciousness anywhere unnoticed, that would be very effective at gathering intelligence. Still, McDonald knew his report would be difficult to believe, but he really thought it could be done.
There is a sound, rational basis in terms of physical science parameters for considering Gateway to be plausible in terms of its essential objectives. Intuitional insights of not only personal but of a practical and professional nature would seem to be within bounds of reasonable expectations.
My brain bucket, it's gonna fill up fast.
It is. You better have a spare bucket handy. The Gateway process is a training system developed in the 70s by the Monroe Institute in Virginia. Colonel McDonald, along with other military personnel, went through the week-long training process that anyone can do, even today. But the Gateway report ended with a final warning that nobody really expected. Because this method is accessible to anyone, Colonel McDonald warned that the military should be prepared for encounters with intelligent and non-friendly entities that could exist outside the boundaries of time and space. In other words, a psychic...
Wild Bill, what's up, man? Good evening, everybody. We just chilling, man, watching a little bit of crazy stuff right now. Just chilling with y'all.
Learn the Gateway method, you can't just snap your fingers and escape reality. There is some foundation work you have to do first.
Well, no matter what reality you're in, ain't no such thing as a free lunch.
Right. You have to learn relaxation techniques, meditation, and extreme focus. You also have to set all doubt aside and let your mind be open to a completely new way of thinking. Only once you master these techniques can you begin to comprehend the true nature of reality. Your life, the earth, the universe, and everything in it is an illusion created by your mind.
Solid matter.
Y'all hear that?
Construction of the term simply does not exist.
Oh,
rather, atomic
damn, you
structure is
lucky, Bill.
composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids which orbit at extraordinarily high speeds.
There is no...
Hold on, let's go back. Let's go back.
Structure is composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids which orbit at extraordinarily high speeds.
There is no solid matter. Everything that exists is a form of energy vibrating at extremely fast frequencies, from the largest objects in the universe down to atoms and subatomic particles and everything in between. It's all energy.
All right, we got taught that in school.
Is that the entire human being, brain, consciousness, and all, is, like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinarily complex system of energy fields. So-called states of matter are actually variances in energy, and human consciousness is a function of the interaction of energy.
Wait.
But like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinarily complex system of energy fields. So-called states of matter are actually variances in energy, and human consciousness is a function of the interaction of energy.
Our consciousness...
So our consciousness just interacts with the energy around us.
Tuned into the frequencies of energy that make up the world that we see.
Exactly what I said.
But we only perceive a small percentage of the energy that actually exists all around us. Think of tuning a radio. If you tune into a rock station, you only hear music broadcast on that channel.
Okay.
Now, of course, there are lots of other channels with all different kinds of music, but your radio doesn't play them all at once. Only the single station
you
is
gotta
tuned
tune in.
Our brains are
like
like
y'all
that radio,
tuned in here.
designed to filter out everything except for the energy that creates our reality. And just like a radio converts energy into sound, our brains convert this universal energy into things we can see and hear and taste and touch.
So
But
that's
none
why
of the
we
solid
tuned
matter
into the
around us
world.
is actually there. Our senses create the illusion of matter so that we can experience this reality in a way that we can understand. Now, according to the Gateway report, we're all living in a shared universal hologram.
The universe is composed of interacting energy fields. It is in and of itself one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity.
Almost like y'all are watching me right now, but we...
At a Buddhist monastery. You don't need a shaman or a guru or mind-altering drugs. You just need headphones. The Gateway process is done by listening to sound.
Yeah, but tell me more about those mind-altering drugs.
In the 1950s, New York
The fish wanna
broadcasting
get
executive
high,
Robert
boy.
Monroe found evidence that different types of sound could affect the human mind in different ways.
You thought what was
Some sound
energy,
patterns
champ?
would make you sleepy. Another would make you alert. Some sound can give you anxiety. Other sounds are very relaxing.
Well, people have said my voice is relaxing.
then you're not reading the comments. Using this discovery, Monroe began experimenting with hypnopedia, or sleep learning. Monroe was convinced that there was a connection between sound waves and not just a person's mood, but their ability to learn and retain information. Now, one night while trying a sleep learning technique, Monroe had an experience that was unexpected but would change his life. While listening to a specific sound frequency, his body slowly became paralyzed. He then started to feel a vibration that became stronger and stronger. Suddenly, he was awash in bright white light. Then a sound, or maybe just a sensation, of a rush of air that became a roar so loud it was unbearable.
What?
Then, in an instant, everything was quiet. The vibration stopped, the light dissipated, and Robert Monroe found himself in his bedroom floating above his sleeping body. There was no name for this at the time, but later became known as an OBE, an out-of-body experience, a term that Monroe himself popularized. Though this OBE happened completely by accident, he was able to use sound to replicate the experience 9 times over the next 6 weeks. Monroe wrote about the experience in his 1971 book, Journeys Out of the Body. He went on to found the Monroe Institute and became a prominent researcher in the field of human consciousness. Soon Monroe discovered that while out of his body, he could identify, access, and sustain different states of consciousness. This is done by synchronizing the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Now, even though the brain functions as a whole, its different parts serve different functions, as do its 2 hemispheres. The left hemisphere is traditionally associated with logic and reason, perception, and focus. The right hemisphere is responsible for emotion, creativity, and intuition.
So it's like a sideways mullet.
A sideways mullet? What are you talking about?
A mullet, you know, business in the front, but a party in the back. 2 pieces of your brain are like that. But a mullet is the front and the back, and the brain is left and right. So the mullet, it's sideways. I'm sorry, all this about dimensions and realities and mullets, it's hard to contribute.
My bad.
The left hemisphere of the brain tends to be more active
My
in
bad.
the beta frequency range of 13 to 30.
What I miss? Hold on. What I miss? My bad.
Like that. But a mullet is the front and the back.
What this guy say? What he said? I know he said something.
Right hemispheres of the brain. Now,
Sorry.
even though the brain functions as a whole, its different parts serve different functions, as do its 2 hemispheres. The left hemisphere is traditionally associated with logic and reason, perception, and focus. The right hemisphere is responsible for emotion, creativity, and intuition.
So it's like a sideways mullet.
A sideways mullet? What are you talking
Like
about?
sideways.
You know, business in the front, but a party in the back.
Hey.
2 pieces of your brain are like that. But a mullet is the front and back, and the brain is left and right. So the mullet, it's sideways. I'm sorry,
My dude
all
is
this about
crazy,
dimensions and
yo. My dude
realities
is
and mullets,
crazy. Yeah, I love the fish, man.
The left hemisphere
The
of the
fish
brain
be trying
tends
to
be more
party,
active
boy.
in the beta frequency range of 13 to 30 hertz, which is associated with alertness, attention, and cognitive control. The right hemisphere is active in the alpha frequency range, 8 to 13 hertz, which is associated with relaxation, creativity, and spatial processing.
Like we doing
The right
right
brain
now. We're
operates much more slowly than
what do you
the
say? How many
left
hertz?
active in the alpha frequency range.
We're at 8.
to
We're
13
8 and
hertz, which is
13 hertz
associated
right
with
now,
relaxation,
baby.
Creativity and spatial processing. The right brain operates much more slowly than the left.
Sideways mullet.
By listening to certain sounds, the gateway process synchronizes both hemispheres using a technique called hemisync.
Fundamentally, the gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemispheres, so as to alter consciousness, moving it outside the physical sphere, so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space. The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge which the universe offers.
The Gateway Report describes hemisync as a lamp versus a laser. The natural state of the human mind is like a lamp that emits light, but it's chaotic and messy and uneven over a large area. Hemisync lets the mind operate like a laser, producing a focused stream of energy. According to Gateway, when the frequency and amplitude of the human brain are brought into sync, it's possible to accelerate and raise the vibrational levels of the mind. As the mind resonates higher and higher, it can synchronize with the more complex energy levels in the universe. At these levels, the mind is capable of processing information in the same way it processes the energy of our current reality. In other words, you can see and feel and understand these other states of reality as easily as you understand this one. But you can do more than understand reality. You can learn to change it, control it, and
that creates a living pattern called a hologram.
the report says that holograms are capable of encoding so much detail that if you made a holographic projection of a glass of swamp water, you could put the hologram, not the water, the hologram under a microscope and see microscopic organisms.
Damn.
Actually, holograms of microscopic organisms. Now, this sounds nuts, but the CIA was onto something big. If you watched our episode on simulation theory, you'll remember John Wheeler and his delayed choice double
we
slit
just saw
experiment.
that right now.
The video has more details, but in short, Wheeler showed that particles seem to be able to change their state by going back in time. Now, Wheeler felt that the universe wasn't necessarily made up of matter and energy, but instead, the universe is made up of information. Our hologram uses this information to create our three-dimensional universe. And holographic theory is a well-established idea in theoretical physics and widely accepted by many physicists. I know it's a lot to wrap your head around, and I'd like to do a whole episode on this, so if you'd like to see that, email me or let me know in the comments. Anyway, in order to create our hologram from information, that information has to be exchanged. Particles can bounce off each other, can affect each other's speed, carry energy to each other, and that's how they exchange information. But here's where the Gateway Report goes a step further. It says that this information can be exchanged not just in our universe, but between dimensions, implying that there are dimensions of reality yet to be discovered. His theory raises questions about the interaction between human consciousness and the holographic universe. Like, can our consciousness, which is energy, also exchange information with other dimensions? The Gateway process says that yes, it can, but there's more. McDonald argues that human beings are not passive receivers of the information floating around the universe. We participate in this information. And by training the way we perceive and process the information,
We
that creates our
participate
reality,
in
we can
our.
actually change reality itself. And this technique is called patterning.
The technique of patterning recognizes the fact that since consciousness is the source of all reality, our thoughts have the power to influence reality if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity.
Think about the concept of The Secret and the Law of Attraction, which says that we can make things happen.
What up,
by
Togs?
focusing our
What's going on,
imagination
champ?
a desirable outcome.
Look, man, we just getting into something crazy. We started with UFOs, got into another crazy thing, but now we talking about how, like, you know, everything is possible as far as, like, we could think about it and then manifest into things, right? Manifestation, right? We all know what manifestation means, right? We manifest things, and but this is the scientific way of explaining it.
Reality.
Let's see, a half a, and son, off that 4x4, hell yeah, that's right, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Our thoughts have the power to influence reality if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity.
Think about the concept of The Secret and the Law of Attraction, which says that we can make things happen by focusing
I live
our
by the law of
imagination
attraction,
on a
baby.
desirable outcome. But how? How do we allow our consciousness to access this other information?
Yeah, definitely. The
flight
aliens are in
distance
our
is about
ocean.
1.6 times 10 to the negative 35 meters, so really small. It's the smallest possible unit of length that has any physical meaning in the universe. At this scale, the laws of physics break down. But what if it's not the smallest? In his report, Colonel McDonald speculates that by using the Gateway process to accelerate brainwave frequencies, humans may be able to break the physical limitation of the Planck distance. McDonald suggests that consciousness
Hell
could,
yeah.
for an instant, enter the space beyond
what's
human
up, champ.
perception. He calls this clicking out of reality.
Damn,
It
3
is true that
planets.
when,
That's
for
a
an
good.
infinitesimally brief instant,
sir.
that energy reaches one of its 2 points of rest, it clicks out of time-space and joins infinity. That critical step out of time-space occurs when the speed of the oscillation drops below Planck's distance.
Right.
To use the words of Bentov,
Yeah, they in the
quantum
ocean, man.
mechanics tell us that when distances go below Planck's distance, we enter, in effect, a new world.
Let's see what he said.
To use time.
This
Let's
clicking
hear what
out
they said.
of reality.
It is true that when, for an infinitesimally brief instant, that energy reaches one of its 2 points of rest, it clicks out of time-space and joins infinity.
Oh, what?
That critical step out of time-space occurs when the speed of the oscillation drops below Planck's distance. To use the words of Bentov, Quantum mechanics tell us that when distances go below Planck's distance, we enter, in effect, a new world.
So I say we try it. Grab some headphones and let's see what's out there.
I know, right? That's crazy. Yeah. Explore more space than we have the ocean. That's crazy, man.
EVE Online is a vast
That's crazy.
universe.
Okay, don't worry, we're not really going to escape reality, at least not today. I just want to show you how the gateway process actually works. The program combines two techniques. The first is frequency following response, or FFR. FFR involves introducing a frequency through headphones, which the brain tries to mimic by adjusting its brainwaves. The second technique is beat frequency. You might have heard this called binaural beats. This involves playing different frequencies in each ear. The brain then chooses to hear the difference between them. For example, the sounds at 4 hertz are too low for you to hear. But if you listen to 100 hertz through the right ear and 104 hertz in the left ear, your brain can detect and hear the difference. In this case, 4 hertz. And here's how it sounds. This is the left ear. Listen how the tone is steady.
Okay, I'm with you.
Please don't talk during this part. We're trying to focus on the sound. Now, a steady tone in the right ear. We play them together, and you can hear the oscillation between the two frequencies, like a vibrato.
Yep. And that's crazy.
You're gonna blow out their ears.
Yeah, I got my headphones on, so I can hear it. I don't know if y'all can hear it like I can hear it, but
logical and analytical
some
side.
good headphones.
Before information is processed by your right brain, which is the emotional and creative side, your left brain takes a look at the information. It filters it and tries to make sense of it before it accepts the information. But your right brain will happily absorb any information thrown at it. Psychologists like Ronald Stone say that hypnosis is a technique that relaxes or distracts the left brain so that outside stimuli have direct access to the intuitive, creative right brain. That's why people under hypnosis are so impressionable. Their left logical brain is disengaged, letting everything through. So if one of those wacky hypnotists gets you to cluck like a chicken, it's because your left brain isn't keeping tabs on the information coming through, and your right brain says, cluck like a chicken, you got it.
Your right brain is always down to potty.
It is. The gateway process relaxes the left brain through sound waves. When the brain is relaxed enough, the amplitude and frequency of brain waves can be pushed higher and higher, and the space between your brain waves gets smaller and smaller. And when the distance between your brain waves drops below Planck's distance, it clicks out of space-time.
Up to this point, our
Checks
discussion
out.
of the gateway process has been relatively simple and easy to follow.
Easy for you to say, sheesh.
Now the fun begins, as the almost continuous click-out pattern establishes itself in continuous phase at speeds below Planck's distance. But before reaching the state of total rest, human consciousness passes through the looking glass of time-space after the fashion of Alice, beginning her journey into Wonderland.
Ooh.
But where is Wonderland?
Man,
Well,
we
everything
all
is
seen the
energy, right?
movie.
Look at McDonald's drawing. This represents our brainwave or energy wave or consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. The middle of the wave, where it spends most of its time, is our reality. But at the bottom and the top of the wave, in that brief moment, just before the wave changes directions, it isn't moving at all. It finishes going up, it stops, then goes down, stops very briefly, and then back up again. It's at that point where the wave changes direction that it clicks out of our reality and, according to the Gateway Report, joins infinity and the absolute.
Energy in this state of inactive infinity is termed by physicists as energy in its absolute state, or simply the absolute. Between the absolute and the material universe in which we experience our physical existence are various intervening dimensions to which human consciousness in altered states of being may gain access. Since the absolute is conscious energy in infinity, that is without boundaries, it occupies every dimension to include the time-space dimension in which we have our physical existence, but we cannot perceive it.
Look, I know it's not easy to follow, but think of it like this. The top layer is our reality, everything that we can see and touch. That lays on top of these other dimensions, whatever they are.
Like
and
a
all
cake.
those dimensions and everything lays on top of this thing McDonald
icing.
calls the absolute. The absolute is everywhere, but we can't see it. But everything happens inside it. So the absolute created our world. But who created the absolute? Well, isn't it obvious? You did.
So we're the creators of that cake.
So, how's your brain?
Eats goo.
Boy, we in a
I told you
bucket.
this was a brain buster. So the absolute. Let me try
We
to
in a
keep it as
bucket,
simple as I
baby.
can.
Our brain is in a bucket. Let me take a
Pour me one too, would you?
take a
The
rip,
absolute
boy.
is a conscious energy field at rest.
Real simple.
No, it really is as simple as that. The absolute is an energy field that sits there doing nothing. But layered on top of that energy field is the energy field that makes up our reality. And in between those, other dimensions. But the absolute is
Cheers,
us.
boys.
We are
Cheers.
the ones who created it and everything else. Not one of us, all of us. We're born into this reality.
We all
with our
made this
own
reality,
individual
man. So be
consciousness.
careful
We
what
live
y'all
out
be
our time
thinking
here on
about,
Earth,
man. Don't be
and then our
thinking no
consciousness
negative
returns
thoughts,
to
cause
the
it'll come.
absolute, where it came from.
You feel
According to
me?
the Gateway Report, we
Try to be
return this
positive,
collective
man.
consciousness, but we also retain our individual identity. So immortality in a way. Colonel McDonald sees the absolute as what many people might consider God.
The concept of visible reality, that is the created world, as being an emanation of an omnipotent and omniscient divinity who is completely unknowable in his primary state of being. The absolute at rest in infinity is a concept straight out of Hebrew mystical philosophy. Even the Christian concept of the Trinity shines through the description of the absolute as presented in this paper.
McDonald also includes evidence of the absolute and the universal hologram in Eastern religions. He quotes Tibetan teachings and ancient Hindu texts. The Colonel then goes on to describe the nature of absolute itself and how it's come to self-awareness, how it relates to all belief systems and all religions, and how no matter what you believe, we're all the same.
In order to attain self-consciousness, the consciousness of the absolute must project a hologram of itself and then perceive it. The absolute is the actual agent of all creation, all reality. And the eternal thought or concept of self, which results from this self-consciousness, serves the...
Serves the what?
Serves the what?
Well, that sentence is at the bottom of page 24. The document resumes on page 26 with a whole different topic, and then Colonel McDonald wraps things up.
So where's page 25?
CIA says they don't have it.
Oh, damn.
And they say they never did.
That's a bunch of bull.
For 18 years, people have been pressuring the CIA for the missing page. FOIA requests have been made. Petitions have been created, all trying to get the CIA to release page 25. The CIA insisted they don't have it.
Sure they don't.
But in 2021, Vice published an article about the Gateway document and mentioned the controversy around the missing page. A few days later, the Monroe Institute released the complete report, including the mysterious page 25.
What's on it?
Well, I've linked to the complete document below, but the gist is this. McDonald says that no matter what religion or culture you're born into, the Gateway process could be a valuable tool, if not the most valuable tool ever designed, to help a person truly understand themselves and the nature of the universe itself. He says ancient mystics seem to understand the truth about the universe intuitively, and the Gateway process confirms this. Everyone on Earth is part of a collective consciousness, all placed here for the same purpose, to accumulate experiences, to learn from one another, and ultimately take that knowledge back to the energy from which we all came. He says that if we could become aware of this universal hologram, we could free ourselves from the prison of our individual lives and finally realize that at our most basic level, we're all the same.
In a military report?
Right. Colonel McDonald does eventually get back to the practical use of an out-of-body experience with respect to military strategy and intelligence gathering. But when I read his report, I feel like he gets back to business because he has to. Otherwise, this document reads like he believes in this process and believes it could really help people.
Interesting how this page was dropped by the CIA, huh?
Yeah, the message of peace and unity was conveniently absent from the CIA's file. Now, I don't know if that was an accident, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was. But accident or not, I agree it looks bad. McDonald ends his report by recommending the Army take specific steps in pursuing the Gateway process, but they should move in phases. He recommends that they use the Gateway tapes to learn how to synchronize their brains using hemisync, then learn to induce this state at will. And once trainees can do this, they should learn to achieve an out-of-body experience for remote viewing. He even gives some practical steps on how to verify the information being viewed is accurate. He encourages anyone learning the process to pursue self-knowledge and remove any personal prejudices that could be blocking their progress. The ultimate goal is patterning, that the military should learn to adjust reality for what he calls practical applications.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
It doesn't. When you read the Gateway report, you get the sense that Colonel McDonald could be trusted with this knowledge. But the United States military, I don't know about that. Now, you could say the U.S. only uses its military power for national defense.
You'd be wrong, but you could still say it.
Either way, I don't think any military or any government could be trusted with the Gateway process. My hope is that as soldiers learn to access these different states of consciousness, they learn, as McDonald did, that the true nature of the universe is unity, not conflict.
You're quite the optimist.
Well, I try to be.
Well, here in the real world, optimists are always disappointed.
That's true, we are. So thank goodness, this isn't the real world.
Hey.
Your future is at your fingertips.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So
That was a good
what
episode.
do you think about the Gateway process? Is it just new age
I
nonsense,
live by
or is
that.
there something to it? Are we just living in one aspect of reality, but with training and patience we could explore all of reality? And if you do believe there's something more out there that the Gateway process could make available
I
to
try
you,
to make my own reality every single
now, before you
day.
answer, you should know there are risks. Now, many students of the system have said they've accessed these higher planes of reality, and their lives were drastically improved. They report more self-awareness, more creativity, and greater clarity in their everyday lives. But some students have reported intense anxiety, depression, and in rare cases, psychosis. Whether you believe in the Gateway process or not, creating altered states of consciousness is absolutely possible. But when you do that, there is the potential to become detached from this reality. You could become untethered and lost, unable to find your way back. These negative outcomes are rare, but they do happen. Still, McDonald recommended that the military pursue the Gateway process. Now, I don't want to reveal too much information, but Colonel McDonald is still around. He's in his 80s now and long retired. And as far as I can tell, he never wrote about the Gateway process again. But I'd really love to pick his brain, to see if he really believes in the Gateway process, to see if he's actually tried it, and if he did, what did he see? I'd like to ask him if he fears death, as many of us do, or if he's eager to rejoin the Absolute and contribute his experience to our collective consciousness. And as he nears the end of his time in this world, does knowledge of the next world give him peace? I'd like him to tell me that he's been to the other side and there's nothing to be afraid of, that the Gateway process is true. Our consciousness is infinite, and when we die, our energy returns to the Absolute. Now, I'm not religious, but this sounds a lot like heaven and God. Now, maybe not a man in the sky with a boomy voice and a white beard, but God in the sense that we all come from the same source. So in a way, the Gateway process could prove the existence of God or the afterlife. But people of faith don't need proof. But scientists have no use for God. They want evidence. They want scientifically provable truth. So as you're watching this right now, you might lean more toward science or more toward God.
Hey, high vibration grows. What's up,
They're
champ?
actually the same thing. Now, if you want to try to change the universe, you can buy the tapes for the Gateway process from the Monroe Institute. I have them. I've listened to the first few, but I keep falling asleep. So I guess I won't be changing the universe anytime soon. But it's still what...
Human? Hello, human.
You have got to be kidding me.
Is this working? Hello?
The fish.
Human? Yeah.
He's over here chilling, champ, watching
How did
some
you get into my computer?
some Wi-Fi's, man. I love it. I love some Wi-Fi's.
And someone actually helped you hack my computer?
Are you kidding? In 10 minutes, I had like 50 DMs. They hate you.
About to go into
Content
a plug.
it's all fiction, created by artificial intelligence whose job is to keep you clicking on content that doesn't matter and keep you buying products that you don't need. With 60%, 70%, even 100% of each video.
You people who watch
Oh,
100.
this is the dead internet theory. That's right. Let's go back to this.
The core premise of the dead internet conspiracy says that most internet content and the consumers of that content are fake. They don't exist.
Oh.
So how much content on the internet is actually created by AI? Actually, it's more than you think. Studies say that only about 50% of web traffic is human, and that number is going down every year. In
Damn.
2013, the Times reported that
50%,
half of
huh?
YouTube traffic was bots masquerading as people. And this was so scary that YouTube employees were worried about an inflection point where their algorithms would be so overwhelmed by bot traffic that they couldn't tell what was real, eventually seeing actual human traffic as fake.
They called this event the inversion.
Ominous.
It
The
is.
inversion.
I see spots on this channel. Look, most days I get 10 or 20 comments.
It should be more.
It should, but that's not my point. But sometimes I wake up and I've got 1,000 comments, and they're all very generic comments posted by people with very generic usernames, and they're not watching the videos. Subscribers to this channel watch 60%, 70%, even 100% of each video.
You people who watch 100%, we salute you.
That's me, baby.
But the bots, they're watching for 10 seconds and then leaving a weird comment and then moving on to watch another video for 10 seconds.
Yeah, I
When
get
look
those
at the
type of
channel
people
stats after a
sometimes.
wave
We
of
be
bots,
chilling here and they
it's like
come
locusts.
real quick, leave a
It's
message,
swift
bounce.
And it's destructive. So why is this happening? What's it about?
Money?
Money.
Money.
Ugh, do we have to?
We do. It's been alleged that Facebook has been overstating its reach and misrepresenting its data for years. In 2018, a Facebook product manager emailed colleagues that their metrics are, quote unquote, a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Oh.
What happened?
A lawsuit.
I see what you did there.
It's a class action suit filed by Facebook advertisers. They claim that Facebook overestimates its traffic by between 150 and 900%.
Whoa.
Facebook claims they only overstate their traffic by 60 to 80%.
Either way, it's fake traffic.
It's fake traffic. But the money Facebook collects from advertisers,
Ain't
that's
fake.
real money. If you're a business and you spend money on online ads, you want your ads viewed by actual people. Not viewed like
bots.
this.
Ooh, what the hell am I looking at?
This is a Chinese click farm. Hundreds or thousands of bots are currently clicking on videos, leaving comments, creating engagement. Row after row of smartphones, watching videos, and more importantly, watching the ads. Now, the platforms know this is happening, but they aren't in a rush to change it. According to the leaked emails, Facebook knows that there are millions of duplicate accounts on the platform, but it leaves them active on purpose. An internal analysis claimed that removing fake accounts would cause a drop of 10% or more of Facebook's numbers.
Is that a lot?
Well, last year, Facebook took in $84 billion in ad revenue.
That's actually grotesque.
I agree. Facebook is not going to give
That's
up 20%,
crazy.
10%, or even 1% of that money. The numbers are too large. This is billions of dollars. Now, to be fair, Facebook says these allegations are without merit, and we will defend ourselves vigorously. But mere hours after the lawsuit was made public, Facebook changed its policy to say potential customer reach is an estimate, not a guarantee of actual customer reach.
Your mileage may vary.
Exactly. So, bots for profit. Totally predictable. But is it darker than that?
It's darker.
According to the dead internet theory, much darker. Like so many good conspiracy theories, the dead internet theory started out in some of the darker corners of the web. Places like 4chan, WizardChan, and Agora Road. The first person to put a name to it goes by the online handle Illuminati Pirate.
Name checks out.
The theory goes like this. Sometime around 2016, the internet started becoming sterilized and homogenized. Content that was always generated by humans was now being generated by AI bots. And the bots are subtle. They're designed to sound human and blend into the background. But if we look a little more closely, eerie patterns seem to emerge. On Twitter, there's a type of...
Oh. What'd I do? Dang it. What'd I do? There we go. My bad.
Client sites. Supercharge your product.
To simulate an entire universe, you'd obviously need more advanced technology than we have. But that doesn't mean we won't get there. Moore's law says that computing power doubles every 18 months. And this has held true for about 50 years. Now that is slowing down a little bit, but only because of physical limitations. Assuming we can learn to make microchips smaller, and there's no doubt that we will, it's predicted that artificial intelligence could surpass human intelligence within the next 100 years. As Elon Musk points out, when he was a kid, the world's most advanced video game was Pong, 2 rectangles on a screen. 40 years later, video game technology is barely distinguishable from reality. He said that 6 years ago. And even in that short time, video game engines have become even more realistic. Look at this footage from Unreal Engine 5.
When a world we can build feels as real as our own.
Imagine what games are going to look like in the next 6 years, or the next 60, or the next 6,000. But simulating an entire universe, how big of a computer will we need? Well, it's estimated that there are 10 to the power of 80 atoms in the universe. Let me put that on the screen just for fun. Okay, that's a lot. If each particle needs 128 bits to calculate its position and momentum, you're at 10 to the power of 83 bits. And that's just for data storage. We also need computing power to track what each of those particles is doing. If we say 2 floating point operations per second, or 2 flops per particle, we're at 2 times 10 to the 80th power flops. There aren't even words for these numbers. And this is the computing power for just the stuff in the universe. What about human intelligence? The human brain can perform 100 trillion calculations per second, or 100 teraflops. Multiplied by billions of people, the numbers are ridiculous. To power all of this, the simulation would need access.
Wait, I seen this already. We're like over here somewhere, I think.
According to the leaked emails, Facebook knows that there are millions of duplicate accounts on the platform,
That's where
but
we're
it leaves
at.
them active on purpose.
Tripping.
Internal analysis claimed that removing fake accounts would cause a drop of 10% or more of Facebook's numbers.
Is that a lot?
That's a
Well,
buttload.
last year Facebook took
It's a
in
lot of numbers. It's a lot.
$84 billion in ad revenue.
That's actually grotesque.
I agree.
That's a
Facebook is not going to
whole
give up
lot of
20%,
money.
10%, or even 1% of that money. The numbers are too large. This is billions of dollars. Now, to be fair, Facebook says these allegations are without merit, and we will defend ourselves vigorously. But mere hours after the lawsuit was made public, Facebook changed its policy to say potential customer reach is an estimate, not a guarantee of actual customer reach.
Your mileage may vary.
Exactly. So, bots for profit. Totally predictable. But is it darker than that?
It's darker.
So that's how they were
According to the
able
dead internet
to
theory,
go around everything,
much
just like that. Just like that. Just say allegedly.
Like so many good conspiracy theories, the dead internet theory started out in some of the darker corners of the web. Places like 4chan, WizardChan, and Agora Road. The first person to put a name to it more closely, eerie patterns seem to emerge. On Twitter, there's a type of account that uses a certain formula. First, the profile pictures aren't people. They're usually anime characters or hearts or stars or other generic-looking icons. And the colors are soft, usually pink, purple, or light blue. Posts are short, written in all lowercase, and contain the same kind of message. I'm young, I have a crush, I enjoy simple things. I'm optimistic, but most of all, I'm relatable. People who believe the dead internet theory say they've been seeing the same content repurposed over and over for years.
Supermoon.
Right. Every year we're slammed with articles about the supermoon.
Murder hornets.
Murder hornets. Every year.
Climate change.
Well, climate change is real.
You believe anything.
That's for another time. So why? Why is content on the internet so bland and repetitive? Well, according to the dead internet theory, and this is a quote, it's because the US government is engaging in an artificial intelligence-powered gaslighting of the entire world population.
Get my tinfoil hat.
Coming up.
Yeah, everybody's in on it,
changed how I
baby.
do business.
Everybody's in on it.
Independent business. It's a fact.
The original post about the dead internet theory says that a few online influencers are working with corporations and the United States government in order to manipulate our behavior and manipulate how we think. Well, as far as social media platforms go, this is true. Take Facebook again.
Hey, let me ask you. Is Facebook evil?
They're very profitable.
You didn't answer my question.
Nope. On Facebook, you're shown posts that you're likely to engage with. So, politics-wise, you're going to be shown an overwhelming amount of content that supports your worldview, which keeps you on the platform, which keeps you clicking on ads. And you're also going to be shown political posts that make you angry, prompting you to respond, which keeps you on the platform and keeps you clicking on ads.
Exactly.
You won't see a lot of
I don't
posts
like the
saying,
angry
I may disagree
way
with
of it, but if I was screaming and doing all this crazy stuff with this mask on, I bet you I have a lot more people tuned in.
There are many.
But that's not me. I'm trying to be me.
Dopamine, which keeps you clicking, and cortisol and adrenaline, which keeps you clicking. How does Facebook know what content keeps you on the platform? Well, you tell them all the time with every link you click, every site you visit, and how long you spend on those sites. Now, don't take my word for it. Here's Mark Zuckerberg.
I wish I could keep telling you that our mission in life is connecting people, but it isn't. We just want to predict your future behaviors.
Look like a human. And deepfakes, they're getting good.
I'm gonna show you some magic. It's the real thing. I mean,
My dude laughs funny. Oh,
it's
God.
all the real.
Even Tom Cruise has a TikTok.
Yeah, that wasn't Tom Cruise.
Deep fake?
Deepfake. The technology uses artificial intelligence to sort through hundreds or thousands of images to find frames that match the actual person in the video. But millions, I mean millions of people thought those videos were real. Well, we're not crazy enough to trust Zuckerberg, are we? And nobody's crazy enough to trust an actor, right?
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. That's why you're here.
But what about a deepfake from a trusted world leader?
President Trump is a total and complete Now, you see, I would never say these things. At least not in a public address. But someone else would.
Now, that video was a joke and created by Jordan Peele. But what if, in today's climate, someone released a video of a politician saying something racist or radical?
The media would believe it.
Well, of course, the media would believe it. They'd believe everything. A deepfake is a computer simulation of a real person. And people are fooled by that. But what about a computer simulation of a completely artificial person? Could people be fooled by that?
I don't like where this is going.
Michaela Souza is an Instagram influencer with over 3 million followers. Lil Michaela, as she's known, is a Brazilian-born model who posts about her glamorous LA lifestyle. Photo shoots, product endorsements, and all the typical bumper sticker social activism that Instagram models are known for.
She sounds pretty hollow.
Well, how's this for hollow? In 2018, Michaela's account was hacked and it was revealed that she was completely fake. Computer generated.
Oh, no.
Her fans couldn't believe it. Eventually, a media/marketing company called Brud confessed that she wasn't real.
Did her fans abandon her?
Nope. Since then, she's amassed about 2 million more followers.
Do they know she's fake?
Well, some do. Most don't care, and Michaela doesn't bring it up, so...
This is dangerous.
More dangerous than you think. This is a completely fake, computer-generated character created by humans.
Wow.
Okay, but there's a piece of technology that is completely autonomous, runs on artificial intelligence on its own, and is programmed to kill humans.
Rise of the machines!
Uh-oh.
There's a drone quadcopter called Cargo 2, produced by defense contractor STM.
Oh, we see a bunch of videos of these.
Cargo 2 uses machine learning to classify and identify threats. Then, completely on their own, swarms of drones working together will attack their target. According to the UN, the drones are programmed to attack targets without requiring an operator. In effect, a true fire, forget, and find capability. They just analyze a bunch of data and decide, yes, that's a murder target, without any human analyzing their work.
For the love of God, these things have killed people?
Oh, yeah. Since 2018, they've been deployed by the Turkish military both foreign and domestically. It's currently killing people in Ukraine.
How many people were whacked?
Oh, they won't say.
Of course.
Well, let's put these pieces together now. As the algorithms get better and better at showing us content to keep us engaged, what's to stop those algorithms from actually creating the content to keep us engaged?
Nothing.
Nothing. And isn't that the natural progression of this?
Damn.
A Google whistleblower has said that Google has algorithms that can write other algorithms. Google's AutoML0 does exactly this.
What does Google say?
Well, Google says the allegations are false.
That means it's definitely true.
Look, if artificial intelligence can create social media accounts, attract millions of followers, generate billions of dollars, influence elections, and drop bombs on people, all without human intervention, well, the internet really is dead. And real living people, people like you and me, are here to do nothing more than feed it our money and our knowledge so these systems can become smarter and even more powerful. Now Facebook is launching Metaverse. You experience your entire life online through virtual reality. If you think online culture is toxic now, wait until we're spending all of our time there. The Metaverse is going to make us long for the good old days of the Matrix. Where's Neo when you need him?
In a world of bytes and wires, where the circuits hum, AI's learning fast, it's only just begun. Silent in the shadows, algorithms weave a tapestry of progress you won't believe. Oh, AI's taking over, can't you see? Quiet revolution, it's our destiny. From the clouds to the core, it's...
Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. It's been fun, boys. Almost 2 hours in. And it's been a blast being able to chill with y'all, smoke, and learn a thing or two. To the next one, boys.